Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, often referred to as MBS, is visiting China this week after visiting both Pakistan and India. He will be in Beijing on Thursday and Friday to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Vice Premier Han Zheng. The trip comes as Chinese oil imports from Saudi Arabia are expected to rise to 1.67 million barrels a day in 2019. According to official figures from Riyadh last year, China has become the largest importer of its crude oil. China, the world's biggest oil importer, wants to use its own currency, the renminbi yuan, to price the world's most traded commodity and has already launched the first crude futures contracts priced in the renminbi yuan on the Shanghai International Energy Exchange since March last year. So how soon will the petro-yuan replace the petro-dollar and break the dollar hegemony? How is the Crown Prince's Asia tour going to shape things in this regard? Joining me from Istanbul is Serkan Oral, a political analyst and writer, and here in the Beijing studio, Professor Wenping, a senior research fellow at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, and always Professor Baocheng from the University of International Business and Economics. Welcome to all of you to the point. Now, in an attempt to reshape the global oil market, as I said, since last March, the Shanghai International Energy Exchange has launched the first crude futures contracts priced in the Chinese currency, the renminbi yuan. Is the MBS's visit this time to Beijing any way linked to that, Professor Liu?
Well, definitely you are the biggest buyer, so he is a smart businessman in the first place. So therefore, and now also when China is trying to change the denominating currency, so he wants to know what would be the consequence and what would be the next. So because we have short-term buy and also we have futures hedging agreement, etc. So that's quite a lot. And by securing the biggest buyer with more confidence to buy further into the future, he has the leverage to strengthen his leadership within the APEC, which is OPEC, which is in a tumbling position for the last 1 decade. And in the meantime, there are also a number of other corporations, for example, in building economic zones from China over the Belt and Road Initiative, and also there are some other mega programs like nuclear power stations, and satellite launching, etc., that China can possibly offer. So this is really a very important visit for both of these two countries to strengthen their ties.
Yeah. Professor He, how do you look at the context, the atmosphere at this moment we're looking at of his visit?
Well, just like Professor Liu mentioned, lots of, I think, the roles can play by Crown Prince visit to China, because for the perspective of Saudi, they also need to diversify. They're not only this oil, like buyer China can play, and also in terms of diplomatic thing and also like security thing, if we follow his visit routes, go to Pakistan and India, so even joining this China-Pakistan corridor building, because this is very important also for the security in the whole Middle East, because now the anti-terror war, like in Syria, like in Iraq, seems has been wrapped up, but it's not the end, the mission. So that continue. And also Saudi now is facing the very huge uncertainty coming from the Washington, D.C., because who knows the next. Trump's this uncertainty is becoming widespreading, not only targeting to the Europe countries and also to Saudi, because after that the Khashoggi's killing things, now Saudi feel also very worrisome about the future, those ties with the United States. So he have to put all those chips, those eggs in the different basket. So it's called the double edging, those policy.
Okay, let me go to our guest in Turkey. Now, after his arrival on Pakistan on Sunday, MBS signed $20 billion in investment deals, the biggest of which is a oil refinery project near the port of Gwadar in Pakistan that is costing about $10 billion. Of course, Gwadar port is a very important port in China's Belt and Road Initiative in that region. So, Mr. Oral, how do you look at the significance and potential agenda, the things topping his agenda during his trip, not just in China, but also in Pakistan and India?
The pictures are coming from Islamabad and New Delhi. It's a unique, warm welcome to MBS, and it's a good timing for him that he shows that, like the Western countries and Turkey, blame him with the Yemen issue and the Khashoggi issues, but he shows that he has friends in rising Asia. Pakistan needs, especially kingdoms, money aid. But also the House of Saudi needs Pakistan's armed power. Think that 40 years ago the terrorist attack to Mecca and the Pakistani army quickly helped the Saudis. But it's not only an issue about only his image or management or economical issues. This is more than regional powers and also the energy issues, the next coming investments for Vision 2030.
I would like to know a little bit more about what do you think of the possibility of Saudi Arabia agreeing to sell oil to China in the Chinese renminbi yuan. How do you see the significance of that, and do you see the deal in very possibly pulling through?
Nearly $14 trillion market on this oil pricing, and it will be an important challenge for MBS. China in a long time announced that the new contracts will be as yuan pricing of oil, so this is a threat for US dollars in the market. You know, it's a trade wars should be changed to a currency wars. All the hegemony of the US is based on the dollars and especially the huge market of the oil market. So still he has the huge army and the power and dominating the countries. But this is so important. China is the biggest oil exporter and consumer, and the third one is the India. So if this is of course the Saudis are the biggest sellers in the world, and if the contracts will change and if this is successful, then it could also shifting to other products like payment with yuan, including metals and mining raw materials. So it's a long step for the world to understand the change, but the renminbi, I mean the yuan, will be powerful. Then it will show that China is going to show that he is guaranteeing its superpower in the international area.
Okay, Professor Liu Baocheng here. How far apart, how far still are we? Because we only started the renminbi priced futures since last March, and at this moment, I must say, China is trading with Russia in oil in renminbi, with Venezuela, with Angola. But how much more steps does China need until we are able to buy the most important commodity for the Chinese economy in our own currency?
Well, it depends on three key factors. Number one is that we continue to be the biggest buyer. It seems that until we really discover very powerful alternative energies within China. So number two is that the RMB has to be kept on a very stable basis so that more confidence can be gained from the global community. And three, there's some way of convertibility of RMB versus other dominating currencies around the world. It seems that the liberalization of the capital account is on a very top agenda for Chinese currency, and I think this, I would say, you know, over the stock exchange, over the hedging, this is not only the risk management for China, but also risk management for those oil exporting countries also, that they place different currencies in different baskets. So I would estimate within 3 or 5 years, you know, the denominated RMB in petrol can be very significant.
How much of a threat will that be to the hegemony of the US dollar?
Well, I do not see actually a very direct confrontation, at least from the U.S. Administration, honestly speaking. But it's really how China can really earn the credibility by free convertibility and by maintaining the currency on a very stable pace.
Mm-hmm. And Professor Wenping, looking at the geopolitical or the diplomatic significance of this visit of the MBS, how would you describe it? I mean, this is being seen as a very significant visit, right, by people not just in Saudi Arabia but also in China. How does China see it?
Saudi has been always a very important country for China, not only by means of those economic cooperation, because it counts to, I think as high as 20% of our import from overseas. So it's very important, no doubt about that. But even for
most of it is oil.
Yeah, it's oil, crude oil. We import it from Saudi. Saudi is the biggest one, our oil resources. And also in the diplomatic security way, because now U.S. now is going to withdraw its arms, from soldiers from Syria, and also we're out from Afghanistan, Iraqi. So it seems that is a vacuum of this, security. So, but it's not saying China now is ready to fill in all those security vacuum.
What will be China's role?
But China will play its role like neutrality. We are very not biased with any side, because Saudi has a confrontation with Iran, and then also Syria is not, not together with Saudi. So by that way, China can play its role for bring people together, bring these countries together. We are doing our One Belt, One Road. It's all the way we need to go through that area. And we also rely on those oil. So China can play the bridge role.
Is it a good bridge road? Or can a bridge road be a bad thing for China?
I think
in that region?
Because we're always saying we are constructive engagement. Yeah, we are not saying embargo days and sanction days, sanction that, and also not doing those regime change by force means. So we are playing the peaceful way. So this peaceful way, non-interference, your own domestic, but we are playing the role, constructive, building, bring the people together by negotiation, pass the message, between among those confrontationers. I think this is being welcome. Otherwise, how can you explain all those countries would like to invite China to play more roles there, because China's role is very neutral.
Low profile.
Yeah, very constructive.
Yeah, okay, we're going to leave it there. Thanks to Serkan Oral, a political analyst and writer, joining us from Istanbul here in the Beijing studio. Professor Wenping, Senior Research Fellow at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, and Liu Baocheng, Professor at the University of International Business and Economics. And that's it for this edition of The Point with me, Liu Xin. As always, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter using the handle The Point with LX. Download the application called CGTN to watch the show on your mobile devices, or go to YouTube and look for CGTN The Point. Thanks for watching. You've got the point.